if that was written as a limited piece, which is how I would write it, you would be the boy. So you would feel the fear. You would feel the wave as it hits you. You wouldn't just be being told that this stuff was happening. And that's the problem with omniscient point of view. We're just watching this boy go through this event. We're not connected to it. We don't care. We're not concerned. And today's modern audiences, that's what they want. They want that intimate connection with the character. They want to feel the fear of what it's like to be on that shore as this monster is burst out of the mists and then realizes we're there and comes to eat us. As it stands now, it's just this thing that's happening. We're just watching it happen to someone else. And so it's very telly and it's very disconnected and it's very much at arm's length. Releasing your inner dragon.
Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Releasing Your Inner Dragon. Today we have another willing victim who has submitted their work to us for critique. As always, we do enjoy doing these sessions. We hope that you learn from them. And, if you are brave enough, send it along to releasingyourinnerdragon@gmail.com. We try to do one of these about once a month, once every 3 weeks or so, depending on how many we have in the queue. Drake, would you like to add anything while I share my...
The only thing I'll say is the same thing we usually do. We also like to do every quarter or so an episode where we call it First Page Reads, where we go through and read first pages and decide where an agent or a publisher would stop reading. Again, it's not us. We're trying to adopt the role of them to kind of show you how the industry thinks. So we are looking for submissions for that. Just make sure, same address, releasingyourinnerdragon@gmail.com. However, make sure that you write on there, this is for First Page Reads, because otherwise we'll think you're sending it to us for critiquing. And you can send one and say, use it for either, use it for both, and that's fine too. And then we will make decisions on where we want to slot it in. But we're always looking for people who want to send us. But just remember, the First Page Reads must be the actual opening page of your novel, not the first page of a chapter 15, which if you're editing, it can be anything. It can literally just be in the middle of a novel. Just make sure you let us know where we're at, what genre it is, what we need to know prior to this moment that we're reading, so that we can ground the audience into where we're at. Last night in the writer's room, one of the people missed, even though it was stated, one of the people missed that we were starting in the middle of a scene. And so when we got to him for his critiques, he was like, man, that first line, I don't think that works as an opening line. And everybody's like, this is the middle of a scene. And he was like, oh, did we say that? I missed that. Okay, no, then it's completely understandable if it's the middle of a scene. Like, then it's just a line.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump right into it. Everyone knew falling in might end with being devoured. The wise kept a safe distance, spurning a dally with the unpredictable entities such as fate and luck. Around the loch, the turbulent atmosphere spit and sputtered as creative winds played with the primordial chemistry between air, water, and life. Battered by bluster and gale, a buoy clambered along the rocky shore while, out over its surface, physical incantations conjured up a wheeling eddy. It swirled and boiled, mutating into an array of monstrous dark forms. Okay, I'm going to pause here briefly so we can just address these two paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a lot of the imagery, but I feel like this is our protagonist.
What it looks like, because I read down to see.
Yeah. And we need to know a bit more about him.
Well, okay. So
we don't need to know, but we don't like, okay. So I actually don't think that you have to open with where the boy is immediately. I think the boy clambering here is fine, but I'd like to know his name.
Well, and that's what I was going to get into.
Yeah.
So there's there's really two ways to write third person. I mean, there's multiple ways, but there's two big ways to write it. You can write it omniscient, like Lord of the Rings, or anything that was written before 1900, and that's what this style is. It's this very detached. There's a third party narrator that's not a part of the story that's telling the story. We can talk about everyone knowing things and the wise keeping distances, and we can talk about a boy that's just some random boy, and we can but and it's fine. You can do it. I'm not going to say don't do it, but I am going to say that's not what audiences want today. That's not These are not the stories that are going to impact audiences. These are not what today's audiences are being driven to read. This is a dead writing style, in my opinion. This is my opinion. The omniscient writing style is just never the engaging writing style. The other way to do it is I am the boy and I am telling you the story. So I would never call myself a boy because I know who I am. So it would be, Drake clambered along the rocky shore because I'm doing it and I know who I am. And I don't want you to be detached from me. I want you to be me. And so that's the difference between writing in a limited style, like first person. I clambered along the rocky shore while, whatever, or third person limited. Drake clambered along the rocky shore. When you start off with this really purple prose, everyone knew falling and falling in might end with being devoured, blah, 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 blah. Sure, pretty purpley prose, but that's the old, in my opinion, it's the old writing style that just is not going to capture readers these days.
So there are some books that are written in an omniscient style that, are not that old, that do work for them, like Good Omens, for example. You can write in the omniscient style. It's not my favorite, but I
Well,
will say that as an omniscient style, this is not badly written.
I
Okay.
want to push back a little bit on Good Omens. It's been too
Okay.
long since I've read it, so I can't, but I feel like the narrator was either the devil or the angel or the demon.
No. No,
Been too
it's
long since I've read it.
pretty omniscient.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah.
And the problem is I've seen the TV series since I read the book, and when I do that, it always muddies the water, and my
Yeah.
brain doesn't differentiate between the two. They start becoming one. So I can't remember what was only in the TV series but wasn't in the books. They become one story to
Yeah.
me, and so it's harder for me to.
So what I will say about omniscient, because I'm not quite as much of a, like, you can't write omniscient. I do,
I'm not saying that.
no, I know, but I mean, I do see some omniscient books still, and I can like, I have made it through Lord of the Rings, no problem, right? I've even made it through the Silmarillion, so so I'm a little more chill about it. But the thing with omniscient is the same rules apply as with third person limited. You still have to attach me to the character.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. And the problem is that here a boy clambered along the rocky shore. Well, okay, so that's fine. But instead of a boy, use the character's name. There is a power in naming people.
Yeah.
Something that is, and that's why you shouldn't name every NPC in your book. Okay. You shouldn't give somebody a name unless they're actually going to be important, because to the reader, a name is an important symbol. It's a thing they need to store away. And if you overwhelm them with names, they will eventually just lose track of your story and become disconnected. So don't name everything. But by naming the boy here, you create an instantaneous connection. I now know your name as a character. That is the first step to me beginning to care about you. And whether you're an omniscient or whether you're in limited, You do not need to wait for somebody to say the boy's name or anything like that. Okay. This is not a movie script. Okay? In a movie script, you can't just put a name across somebody's head. You've got to be introduced as like a character.
Right.
But in a book, you can just use the name, use the medium we write in, use the prose to give that reader the information. The symbol of the boy's name becomes a focal point for the reader.
Yep.
So put the boy's name there.
The other problem that I have is the opening paragraph, while prettily written, isn't attached to anything. Everyone knew
Yes.
falling in might end with being devoured. Falling into what? The ocean, the lake,
Loch.
but that's too late. That's all the way down there.
Yeah.
You're losing me up here. So if we're gonna, if in literally the third sentence we're gonna name what it is to fall into, then there's no reason to bury that. You know, everyone knew falling in the loch might end with being devoured. Like it starts off in such a vague way. And again, if this was an esoteric thing that we're going to hide what we're falling into for a while, then okay, maybe. But if the third sentence tells me what I shouldn't fall into, then it should be in the first sentence.
Yep.
One of the peanut gallery, as we were reading it, said that she thought it was a volcano that you shouldn't fall into until she got to the third sentence. So yeah,
it could definitely do with clarity up there.
Yeah, vagueness is not always your friend.
Yeah,
it can be, but a lot of times, especially in the beginning, vagueness is your enemy, not your friend.
I do like the imagery of like physical incantations, or like all of that is really nice imagery being painted here.
Yep.
So all of that is good. Just do that effort of the name. Okay, then wide-eyed the lad cowered behind an ancient pine's giant limb, his gaze fixed on the spectacle. Mist and cloud pulsed and congealed, birthing a shrieking creature with a horse's head and neck, a mane of flowing serpents, and a seal's muscular body and limbs. Tales he'd heard told of this beast. Their kind patrolled unfathomed waters, where they hunted for the careless, unwary, and unlucky. Okay. So I have a problem with the first sentence here on line 12. And this sentence is what I call a overstuffed sentence, or a sentence with too many descriptions in it. Okay. So I like to say that in a sentence, you can only give the reader around 5 pieces of information. If you go over 5, it starts becoming difficult for the reader to absorb the sentence. Now, the information that you're giving is not just like what's going on, it's also all the descriptors. So it's wide-eyed. The lad cowered behind an ancient pine's giant limb, his gaze fixed on the spectacle. That is 10 pieces of information crammed into that one sentence. So you need to like spread that.
Well,
Set up the pie.
Also, I see a pattern emerging in this writer's storytelling where I'm going to give you something vague first, and then I'm going to give you the specifics of the vagueness that I gave you. Because we still have that in this sentence. You know, his gaze fixed on a spectacle, a thing that I'm going to give you a word that you're not going to be able to imagine in your head. It's just a random thing. And then I'm going to describe what that thing is. So even if it was something like, his gaze fixed on the monster emerging, if it was a word that gives me a little bit more definition than just a spectacle, because a spectacle could be he's looking at, a football team practicing, or a band marching by, or jets overhead, or, whatever. There's so many different things that a spectacle could be. We can give a stronger word there.
I will also say that I don't think you need that.
Right.
Right? Because you can have him wide-eyed, the lad cowered behind an ancient pine's giant limb. Period.
Period.
It makes the sentence easier to read. It doesn't crowd it with as much information, and you don't need to say that he is watching the spectacle. You're about to describe it.
Yep.
Right? And
Little bit
yes,
of
I know
telling
that,
and then a little bit
and,
of
and I
showing.
mean, yes, this is omniscient, and sometimes omniscient needs filtering, but he is literally the only character there. Like, it can't be anybody else seeing it because he's the only one in the scene. I do like the description of the monster.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a puka of some kind or something, one of the fairy monsters. I also like this line here, he shouldn't be there. That, I think that this is the style of like I think this is kind of free and indirect. It's that kind of Jane Austen-y style where you're in between
Yeah.
the omniscient and the third person limited. Because this is a very strong internal thought. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah. No, that's a great line.
Yeah. The hybrid monster swam E-like using powerful undulations. Then, raising head high, it began exploring. Okay, I'm going to stop there because you've just triggered two of my pet peeves, author. Two at once. So, you never need then. No one needs then. I will die on this hill.
And see this, and it's so funny because where we really differ, we don't differ on much, but where we really differ is things that I'm like, never. You're like, well, I mean, mostly never. And like things that you're like, never. I'm like, well, I mean, mostly never. Like that's our big disagreement is
Yeah.
because I'm like, yeah, no, never. Then is bad. It's most of the time you're never gonna need it, but and you're like, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so the problem with then and began is both of them are just filler words.
Yeah,
They're not doing anything for your story here. They're not making your story stronger. They're not showing time periods, whatever. It is obvious that the one thing follows the other due to the way that English is structured. Like English works in sentences.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
No,
don't need them.
100%. And when you have those wishy-washy words, began, started, those things,
Mm.
they're just, it's almost always, and again, not always, but almost always it's stronger when you don't do it. It depends on what I'm trying to paint. So if I want to paint the fact that the thing is literally in the start of something, then I might write began exploring. The other time I'll use it is if it gets interrupted. Drake started to turn, but Marie grabbed his arm.
So 100%, but I will devoutly stick to this point that you could say Drake turned quarterway. Drake turned his foot. Drake lifted his foot to turn. Marie
Yeah,
caught his arm. You
right,
do not need the began.
right.
Show the motion starting,
As
show
Drake
the
turned,
interruption.
as
Yeah.
Drake turned, Marie grabbed his arm. I mean, there is ways to
Yeah.
do it. I'm just saying those are the ways that aren't egregious to me for using it.
Mm.
The Drake started to turn, but Marie grabbed his arm, or but stopped when Marie glared at him, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not opposed to that stuff, but
So if your action is interrupted, I will give you half a pass, although
credits,
I will still probably mention that you can avoid this.
right,
But if
right.
your action is interrupted, I will give you
And
half a
then, like I
pass.
said, every once in a while, it just feels right. It feels right to begin exploring. I don't think this one does,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying every once in a while there is those moments where I'm doing it and I'm like, I actually kind of like the fact that he started something because I actually want you to see the start of it. I want you to feel it's sort of like the difference between, everybody talks about everybody should start learning this stuff, and it's in every writers group, and it bugs the crap out of me. But you always have somebody that starts learning, oh, you should never use ing words, you always use ed. And I'm like, except for not. Like, it's dumb. Because if I wrote, Drake ran into the kitchen and screamed versus Drake ran into the kitchen screaming.
Yes.
They paint very different pictures. One of them paints Drake going fully into the kitchen and then screaming, and the
Yes.
other paints that as Drake is running into the kitchen, he is screaming.
An ing word is golden if you want to depict continuous
Yeah,
actions.
yeah,
Like, absolutely use it. Like, do not, do not be shy.
right. And so,
But yeah.
but the then is what I call stage direction.
Mm.
Then, Mr. Reader, I know you're going to read this sentence next, but I want you to make sure that you understand that the sentence you're reading next happened after the sentence that you just read, just in case you get confused.
Yeah.
Maybe you read them out of order for some reason. And so I wanted to let you know that this happened after that happened, even though literally it's in order on the page. And
Yeah.
so stage directions like that make no sense to me because, as you said, they're filler words. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
However, I got a lot more problems with this sentence than just then and began.
Okay.
Rising head high.
Yeah, there's definitely a grammatic problem here.
Yeah. Or
So,
raising head high, not rising, raising head high. It began exploring. Raising its head high.
it's head high, I think.
Even head raising high would be better than raising head high.
Yeah.
But it would probably be something like head raised high.
Yeah. Yeah, I think head raised high would probably be the best sentence
Right.
there.
Right.
Because it would let us avoid the it pronoun.
Yep.
And a pronoun avoided is a pronoun that you don't have to echo.
Well, we'd end up having two it's in that one sentence.
Exactly. Head raised high, it nosed among the weeds. Exploring's a very weak word.
Yeah, but that also that hurts my logistic engine because we have his head high, but weeds are low. And so that hurts
Nosed.
it hurts my brain.
The Mr. side.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I like, you can write it explored and it will work. So head raised high, it explored.
I would give it, I think it needs more. I think it needs an object with that. So
Yeah.
it explored the shoreline near the boy, or raise some
Yeah.
tension or whatever. But yeah.
That's the problem. Like, what did it explore? Like,
Right.
just its surroundings, it's, what is it exploring and
Right.
why? So I
Right.
think you need a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yours, by going with like nose the mist, or you know, split the mist or whatever, that
Yeah.
gives it something. But I think it's missing an object.
Yeah. I'm not fond of the next sentence either.
No.
For one thing, it's a hella run on, but for
Yes.
another, with trepidation, the boy should have backed away and concealed himself. But
Yeah.
awe and curiosity held him captive.
You can't
Uh-uh.
should have done something with trepidation.
Yeah.
Like with trepidation, he backs away. Like trepidation needs to be attached to an action, not a thought of an action in the future.
Yeah. That's
Because
the
basically
problem.
the sentence is he shouldn't just back away. He should back away with trepidation if he's going to back away. So make sure you have the trepidation as you're backing away as a conscious decision. Like, it's just a weird way to say that.
So I also think that you should split this. I think it should be, with trepidation, the boy took a backward step. And then,
No, because the logic of the sentence is he doesn't move. So the with trepidation doesn't do anything. So
yeah.
if you just cut with trepidation and just go, the boy should have backed away and concealed himself, but awe and curiosity held him captive. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's the with trepidation that's just like, but he's not doing anything with trepidation. Why are you mentioning the word trepidation when he's not moving in with trepidation? He's not
Yeah.
breathing. Like it's not doing anything.
Then I feel that there should be a paragraph break here. Just simply because this paragraph is hella long, and breaking it there, we have the monster, we have the boy frozen. Now we've got the creature circling. Like, it feels like a good place to put a paragraph break and move on to like the new idea and let the reader consume that whole paragraph.
Yeah.
Remember, paragraph breaks, like sentences, you don't want to jam too much into a paragraph. These long paragraphs are exhausting for the reader to read. Yeah, the creature circled, searching, hunting, and the boy's luck slowly slipped away. Fate turned in his direction. It smelled the wind, fixated, and swam a direct course.
Okay.
Eyes glowing a
But
flaming amber, mist puffed from its nostrils, and white water rolled ahead of its chest as it gathered speed.
let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
So the creature that we just described circles, searching, hunting, and the boy's luck is slowly slipping away. Okay. Then fate turned in the boy's direction. Fate
Yeah.
smelled the wind, fixated, and fate swam a direct course. Fate's eyes glowed a faint amber, a faint flaming amber, not a faint, but a flaming amber, and mist puffed from Fate's nostrils, and white water roiled above Fate's chest as Fate gathered speed, because literally everything now points back to Fate.
I cannot tell you how often I see pronoun mistakes
Yeah.
in writing that I critique. You have to be, especially in scenes where you have multiple male characters or multiple female characters, you have to be so aware of where your pronouns are pointing.
And somebody might go, well, I mean, come on, you're being ridiculous, Drake. Fate is not a, tangible noun. This is fantasy. Fate could literally be standing there for all I know.
In Terry Pratchett's Discworld, death is a character that
In
speaks in
Marvel,
capitals.
death is a character.
So, fate could be a character. So,
and also the way it's written, Fate is doing a physical action. So
yeah,
it's not hard for me to then go, oh, Fate is physical,
yeah,
because Fate is actually doing something. And that's the other problem that I have with the Fate turned in his direction sentence. We actually are describing a monster moving.
yeah.
I'm not going to throw in that Fate is also doing a physical action. It's not, it's confusing. It throws off the pacing of the sentence. It makes me start looking at this thing called Fate. If it said something like Fate, turned against him even, or something like that, I mean, I don't like it at all. But if you have it not be a physical actual, I mean, because you're describing a monster moving. So when
Yeah.
you use a physical movement for an intangible object, literally you're now, and then then you compound that by doing the pronoun mistake, where it is going to point back to Fate.
Maybe something like that.
Now that's still a physical action. That's the physical action of attention, and the monster is trying to find the boy. So the monster's attention is searching for the boy, and I still think that is,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, you'd have to do something, but yeah.
unfortunately Fate was against him, or unfortunately Fate was not with him, or and again, I don't like it. I think it breaks up the sentence. You're moving. If I was going to do that, I would put
Yeah,
it
I
before that.
think the thing is, you've already got it here. The boy's luck slipped
Yeah.
away. You do not need it twice,
No.
actually. I think you should just cut it.
Or cut the one above it. And if you're going to do that, then move the Fate to the
But I
line.
like the boy's luck slipped away. Like, of the two, I like the boy's luck slipped away more than I like fate turned in his direction.
I agree. The problem that I have with that sentence is the and. I think it should be an as. Um, I think and is the wrong article here
Yeah.
because as is going to connect it as two events happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
whereas turning into a compound sentence, it's this and that, as
Mm.
opposed to them happening simultaneously. The creature is circling, searching, hunting, and as it does that, the boy's luck is slipping slowly away. I mean, I don't like slowly either, and you cut it because I don't think it
I
adds.
cut slowly. You don't need the ly
No,
adverb there. The
no,
slipped is fine.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah. If you want to make stronger, you can replace it with drained.
right,
Um,
or melted,
or
or
melted. Yeah.
yeah. There's a whole bunch of other verbs that would be a stronger choice for that.
Um, the monster smelled the wind, fixated, and swam a direct course. Eyes glowed a flaming amber, mist puffed from its nostrils, the white water rolled ahead of its chest.
You, you read that, and there was still
I don't think you need this.
right. I agree, but also, and I know you just changed it to the monster, which is great, but that sentence is now, or well, it was in the beginning, even with it, but it's a filter. It smelled, the monster smelled. Um, you know, the boy's scent carried by the wind drew the monster's attention or something. Like we don't need the filter there. We don't need the monster
Mm.
smell. We could rewrite that in a way that's much more active.
Especially since you are in omniscient, right? The boy's scent lingered on the wind, fixated.
The
The
monster.
monster swam a direct course. Because I do like a direct course.
Yeah. Although you need an object with that sentence. Fixated, the monster swam a direct course toward his hiding place or
To the shore.
yeah, whatever.
I think you need a paragraph break.
Yes, 100%. Oh, no, not there. I think it needs to be the lad because we're still in the
Look,
monster.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Thank you, Miss.
um, and the reason why I killed the as it gathered speed is because that is abundantly clear. You do not need it.
Right.
You've got white water rolling ahead of its chest. Like it is patently obvious that it is gathering speed, and it's
Yep.
actually really well shown that it's gathering speed. You don't
Yep.
tell. I do not understand this sentence. The lad remained motionless. Only his allegro heart and surging blood fled. What? I don't like allegro is it's a music term, unless I am very
It is.
much mistaken.
It is. And I was just making sure because I haven't seen that word in a long time. But yeah, it's a um it's a brisk tempo.
Yeah.
So I will allow it because of what, it is the right word, but this is a great example of um why use a small word when a minuscule word would suffice. Um Allegro is something I thought that's what it was too. I was like, I think that, but I still had to look it up. Um I'm a firm believer, and again, this is my opinion, but this is in that old omniscient style anyway, that is not going to suck me in. And that style back in the day, authors really wanted to show you how smart they were linguistically. And so
Mm.
they love to use words that you would have to look up. And some people, there are still a few people out there that are like, I like it when I read words that I've never read before, and I have to put the book down to go grab a dictionary and look it up. Yeah, my nightmare is for you to put my book down. I don't want you to go look up something that because I used a word that you haven't heard in 15 years and you're not 100% sure what it means. Because to me, that destroys the story as in the same manner as a typo or a poorly written sentence or something like that. So allegro is such an archaic word that it is not, well, it's not really that archaic, but it's such a niche
It's
word
a niche word. Yeah.
that that's not a word that I would use there.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is talking about his fast beating heart. And I'm not saying you have to use something as simple as fast beating heart, but only his racing heart and surging blood fled or
But the
whatever.
fled is where I have the big problem.
It is
Like,
weird because you're saying that, wait,
his heart and blood fled without
yeah,
him? Like,
it's a weird imagery.
yeah, like as an image, this doesn't quite work for me. I think what the author's trying to say is that the it's his blood is surging in his veins and giving like it's pumping his heart spot, but it is a weird image.
Yeah, instead of
Um,
fled, maybe moved or whatever. But
moved,
yeah,
yeah, moved might be something like something a little because fled. I swear I had a mental image of like his blood and heart jumping out of his body all by himself and
and
fleeing,
taking off.
taking off
Yeah.
and leaving the body there on the
I mean, I say all
side.
the time, creative is the first word of creative writing. So I wouldn't, if this was a critique group and I'm reading this, I would go, okay, that's a weird imagery. Use
Yep,
it. Just understand it's a weird imagery, and no one's gonna see it the way you think they're gonna see it.
yeah.
But it's not anything that anybody
I mean,
would
you
put the
absolutely
book down.
can use it that way. Like, and I think most readers would read it and move on. It's just
Right.
to me, it created a very weird image.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna do it to most people,
Yeah,
but also it's not a weirdness that they're gonna be like, ugh, put this book
yeah,
down forever.
yeah. A high-pitched screech fractured the air. Sound wave pressure struck just as oh, that is a very clumsy way to say that. Sound wave pressure struck just as the predator turned and thrust its body sideways, propelling a growing swell toward the bank. The okay, so this
Run on.
this is it's a run-on. This is an action scene. Run-ons don't belong in action scenes. 99% of the time. A run-on has no place in an action scene.
Yep.
Secondly, sound wave pressure is it is a clumsy way to say what you're wanting to say.
Yep.
Because it's basically like a scientific tell. Like, you know, um, you could do something like the
You can flip it. The pressure of the sound wave struck.
yeah. Or like how what create so we've got the high pitched fractured the have the predator turn and thrust its body sideways. The sound struck the water like a gong, or like a whatever. And a wave lifted as the sound struck the water, something like that, because that's what you're trying to describe, right? The creature shrieked and then it caused a wave. Short sentences in action scenes.
Yep.
Short sentences are your friend. All right. The rolling wave approached and grew 3 men tall before the boy realized the full implications. As it swept ashore, he ducked behind the pine's massive trunk, but the turbulent surge smoothly wrapped around and found him. It surrounded him, picked him up, shoved him inland, where it crashed against a rocky outcrop. Okay, so I have a problem with the order, and I can see down below we're getting more description here. Like, I have a problem with the way this is arranged.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, you don't need this. You really don't. The rolling wave approached and grew 3 men tall. As it swept ashore, the boy ducked behind the pine's massive trunk, but the turbulent surge, it can't be turbulent and smooth. The turbulent surge wrapped around him and found him. Now, this section is basically a one-sentence summary of what's going on here.
It also it was a repetitive of what just happened too. It
Yeah.
surrounded him. Yeah, you just literally said it wrapped him. That's
Yeah.
the same thing as saying as it's around him.
Just cut. You don't need that because this is much stronger anyway. He
Yes.
tumbled in every direction, arms and legs flung as a child's rag doll, and shoulder, thigh, and head slammed into rock. Now, it's good except for the fact that you don't need that and because you're turning it into too long a sentence. So just do this.
Well, and again, it's just the imagery of it, but he tumbled in every direction. No, he tumbled in one direction unless his body came apart and went in all four directions. Um,
So
like the
I'll
wave is
allow the
going only
every
one
because
way.
so I'll allow the every because I understand what the writer means.
I
Like I
do. I'm
personally
just saying it
don't.
creates a weird imagery. That's what I'm saying. Keep
Yeah.
use it if you want to, but you're only tumbling in one direction.
Well, for me, it's like the image it creates is like he tumbles in this direction, then in that direction, then in this direction. Like I get that it's kind of like a summary of the tumbling going on.
But that's not how waves work. When you're
Eh,
picked up by a wave, you're not going to be sloshing back and forth in the wave. You're going with the wave. The wave is pushing you one direction. So you've
so
built this
I
wave for me.
I scuba dive and we did a shore entry once because we were crazy, like out of our heads crazy, off the coast of South Africa, which is not you should not do shore entries off the coast of South Africa. You are crazy, you will die. And because the surge is very big, people surf there. It's not good for it.
Right.
But we we'd swum out to the break, so we'd made it out. We were at the breaker line when a wave landed on top of us, right, in our scuba gear, and it really does feel like you're tumbling in every direction because you're going down and you're being pushed sideways and you're being pushed this way and then this way as it kind of like surges around you.
But you're dealing with current and you're dealing with all sorts of stuff. You're not dealing with a
Yeah,
swell that's coming into shore.
yeah,
I'm just
but
saying it's a weird. Again, I'm not
yeah,
saying don't do it. I'm saying it was a weird imagery for me. Use it,
yeah,
don't use it. Just understand that some people are going to be like, no, he got hit by a wave. He's
yeah,
standing on shore and he got hit by a wave. He's going to go in one direction,
yeah,
and that's the direction of the wave. So again, it's just a weird imagery for me. It threw me out of the story.
yeah. So for me, it's also the up and down, but yeah, regardless,
Right,
it
right,
it
right, right.
it can be a little okay.
Well, and that's why a lot of this stuff is subjective,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
you have to make a decision on how you want to do it.
Strange, the expected pain never ensued as if panic and fear spit it out. Okay, so there's a couple of things wrong with this. No. Like then, like began, you need strange once in a blue moon, and even then I'd reconsider
Yeah,
it. It is a weak word
it's a
because, and the
wishy-washy
reason
word.
why it's a weak word, so let me just explain because some people will say, but what's wrong with strange? Okay, so the problem with strange is a comparative word. Okay. I might not find it strange to sauna naked with other people. All right, because I'm I live in Finland. But you, as an American, you would find it very strange. So it is a very comparative word
It's a
that can only be
subjective
strange
word.
if you understand what it's being compared to.
Also, to me, you're telling them that it's strange, and then you're
Yeah.
showing them that it's strange by
Yes.
just stating the expected pain never ensued.
Yeah. The expected pain never ensued does a great job of showing
Stating
you
that
that
it's
it's
strange.
strange.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I would find it strange if I didn't get paid after being slammed into a rock.
right.
I do like as if panic and fear, but it's as if panic and fear spat it out, not
Yep,
spit it.
because we're in past tense.
This is not a sentence. Oh no, it is. For thoughts froze in disbelief. Yeah,
Yep.
it is a sentence, just a very short sentence.
It's a disconnected sentence.
It's
Whose
yeah, it's
thoughts?
weird. Yeah,
There's no object.
yeah,
So I would probably personalize that with his thoughts, but
yeah.
that's just my opinion on that.
Um,
You got hissed.
Oops. His thoughts froze in disbelief.
But if you're going to do that, you can't do another his.
Yeah, but I
You
would
can
also
actually
do
do a
this.
comma, mind scrambling
Yep.
explanation, period.
Yep.
And then just instinct pushing him to escape, but the water rained. Or you could leave it as pushed. You can do either one.
Yeah. Instinct pushed him to escape, but the water rained. Then I would put a paragraph break there, because you've dealt with you've got the whole water thing now, and now you've got the churning torrent retreating. So the churning torrent, so he's caught in the tow. The churning torrent retreated and drove him deeper down, presumably, while escorting him back to the seething loch. Impatient, the creature tossed its head with annoyance. The boy gasped, searching for any space containing air, but his thumping heart stuck in his throat. Not knowing up from down or any cardinal direction, he tried to call out, but the liquid force compressed his chest and gut while the remaining air in his lungs bubbled out. He needed a breath.
All right. So a couple things.
Mm.
First of all, you don't need impatient because we're showing the impatience. The creature tossed
Yep.
its head. I don't like with annoyance. Both impatience and annoyance here are kind of slight POV shifts because the boy doesn't actually know that. We are in omniscient, so we would
Yeah.
know that or whatever, but there's a better way to show it.
Mm.
The creature tossed its head, gnashing its teeth, um, whatever. And then 51, he needed to breathe. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah. I
So
think you've just done a plenty good show
yeah,
of showing us he needs to breathe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're at time. I would like to take a moment and do a live ad. So if you would like to actually work with us personally on stuff like this every single week, both me and Marie are doing critique groups in the writer's room. So if you go to the writersroom.us, you can actually join for free. Now, Marie doesn't do anything free during the on the free side for the month. It's just me, and I only do one thing a month as far as a critique group. I do one critique group a month for free. I do a Q&A for free. I do a few other things for free. Absolutely, you can join the free side. You can actually watch us record these podcasts live for free because we don't have them streaming outside of the writer's room yet. And, right now we're just doing it in the writer's room, so it's a part of that. But you can also do the paid side. It's normally $100 a month, but we are gearing up for some serious marketing, and I am running a special where you can get 50% off for life plus a free month. All you do is use bit.ly, and we'll put the link down below, but it's bit.ly/write with Drake. And I am pretty sure it's crap. Pretty sure it's all lowercase. I don't remember.
It won't matter.
We'll put the link down below. No, it does matter. Bitly is case sensitive.
Oh.
So if it's all lowercase and you put capital W's, it'll give you a page not found error. Because it's going through Bitly, it's not going through the internet. It's a thingy. But we'll put the link down below. But it is Right with Drake. So if you want, if we don't have it up, you can just try capitals, no capitals until you finally get there. Or send me a message and I will just send you the link. But with that link, you get 50% off for life. So it's $49 a month instead of $97 a month. And you get the first month free. So if you want to work with us on a weekly basis, being edited, being critiqued, being a part of a community that is all amazing and everyone in it is just really focused on not only becoming better writers themselves, but they understand the importance of helping other writers become better writers because it makes them better writers. It has become an amazing place. It's become everything that I was really hoping it would become. So I would highly recommend that you join the writers room, even if you join the free side, because what we do in these critique groups, we're doing every single week with people live.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as a piece, that piece was it had some good, strong imagery elements to it. Just be aware that sometimes you're painting a weird image. And I do think that you need to connect with the boy more strongly. We need to know his name.
Well, and actually, we could even go deeper than that. If that was written as a limited piece, which is how I would
Yeah.
write it, you would be the boy. So you would feel the fear. You would feel the wave as it hits you. You wouldn't just be being told that this stuff was happening. And that's the problem with omniscient point of view. We're just watching this boy go through this event. We're
Yeah.
not connected to it. We don't care. We're not concerned. And today's modern audiences, that's what they want. They want that intimate connection with the character. They want to feel the fear of what it's like to be on that shore as this monster is birthed out of the mists and then realizes we're there and comes to eat us. As
Yeah.
it stands now, it's just this thing that's happening. We're just watching it happen to someone else. And so
Yeah.
it's very telly and it's very disconnected and it's very much at arm's length.
I just scanned down and realized something terrible. At line 87, Johnny startles awake, and the whole sequence was a dream. Okay. Do not, do not start in a dream sequence unless you absolutely 100% know what you're doing with that dream sequence. Because a dream sequence, firstly, it is overdone. Okay. Dreams are so overdone, they have their sub-tropes, have trope pages on tvtropes.com. Okay. Dreams are completely overdone. You've got to be really careful using them as a general rule. Definitely not as your opening chapter. Secondly, when you start in a dream sequence as the first chapter of your book, as the first thing the reader reads, you set a false expectation with the reader. Then you break it and you say to the reader, haha, see, none of that was real. What is the expectation you've now set with the reader? You've set the expectation with the reader that you, the author, enjoy lying to them. You enjoy setting up their expectations and then breaking them by saying, oh, no, none of that mattered. None of that was actually real.
Yep.
Everything that you just went through, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
That is not what you want your readers to enter your book with. You want them to enter your book with suspension of disbelief wide open.
Yep.
And you've literally just shown them that they suspended their disbelief. They bought into the world of the dream. I bought into this monster, and now the monster isn't real.
Yeah.
And now I've got to reset all of my expectations in the first page of the book.
Yep.
And
I
that's the point.
want to tag on to that because I don't think people really put enough emphasis on this. So I lie to my readers constantly. Literally, I love it. I love everything about it. They love it. But here's the difference. When you do a dream sequence and then break that, you're looking at the reader and going, I lied to you. I tricked you, the reader. When I connect the reader to the character, and then the character finds out they've been lied to, the reader feels like the story has lied to the character that they are. That it wasn't the writer picking on the reader directly. It was this moment in the story, and oh my goodness, how could I have missed that? Because I'm living this life, and it isn't this personal attack on them. And there
100%.
is a difference. There is a difference in how the reader subconsciously is going to be affected by that.
And it is especially even more so when it's the start of your book, because
Right.
I'm reading it. I'm like, okay, so this is the world building. We exist in this world with dark monsters coming off the loch. spirit monsters, kind of pukas, maybe a Loch Ness kind of setup. That's the world we're in. And then we don't.
Yep. Well, and there's another problem with that now. Because in my opinion, this writer might have fallen into the trap that literally we've discussed a ton of times on different things. And it happened to me while I was out at convention talking about it. It's oh, no. You have to start your story in an action scene. You have to. No, you don't. You have to make the reader care about the character. That's what you have to do. And so by creating this fake action scene that's actually a lie and actually didn't actually happen and actually there was nothing there, yes, to the letter of the law, you started in an action scene, which the industry says you have to do, but it weakens the story. It weakens the connection to the reader. It makes them not, maybe even put the book down at that point, because they roll their eyes and they're going, oh my God, I've read so many books that start in a dream sequence and most of them are bad. So I'm just not going to read this.
Yeah.
So,
do not start your book in a dream sequence unless you are 170,000% certain that it actually contributes to the story, and even then reconsider.
So, well, as an example, my award-winning children's script, Snurse, the Magical Fairy Tale, starts in a dream sequence. But you are Snurse. You are going after, you learn what his fatal flaw is. You learn what his desire is. You learn what he wants to accomplish. You actually do a mini version of the entire movie. You actually kind of see a version of what the villain is going to be. You kind of like literally in the first 3 minutes of the film, you do the entire film, but it's a very esoteric version of it. But you do have a start, a middle, and an end. I think that's one of the reasons why it works so well, is because you literally overcome, like literally the entire story is played out in that dream. And so, and when you wake up in the head of the character and you're like, man, I really wish it was like that. I really wish my life was like that. That's what I really do want. You just get this, reaffirmation that, in the dream, he's like, I really want to be a wizard. And then he becomes a wizard. Then he wakes up and he's like, I really do want to be a wizard. Like, how cool would that be? And so it just continues. It isn't a lie. There's nothing that you're like, oh, none of that was real. First of all, it's a dream. I don't hide that fact at all. We know that we're absolutely dreaming through this. And secondly, we get everything we need to know about this character. Because again, we talked about that in the last episode when we were talking about the Save the Cat, that you don't have a lot of time in film.
Yeah.
And so by doing everything up front like that, you set all your expectations, you connect them to the character. And then when he wakes up and he's not a wizard, you are like, yeah, but it would be cool because you did some really cool things in the dream. You actually overcame the bad guy in the dream. And so, yeah, I can see why you want to be a wizard. And I can see, because, he wakes up and he's like, sucks that I can never be a wizard. Like other people are wizards, but I can't. Like, and then you have this affinity with him just instantly right out of the gate. So it can work. You just really need to understand why dreams work and why they don't.
Yeah.
And I do believe that Snurse, a Magical Fairy Tale, available on Amazon,
so
is a good representation.
I haven't read Snurse. This didn't work for me, even though it's like he drenches as he emerged from an actual swim. Like, and then it's like his father storing again. And so there's a whole bit here about what the dream means to him, I guess.
Okay.
So maybe, but it is pages to get there.
Yeah.
And
plus you don't know it's a dream.
You don't know it's a dream.
So it's still a lie.
That's the
You're
thing.
still going to have that.
Like, if you like, and now I like looking at this now, because this is now written in limited. Okay. So the dream is written in omniscient. Show me first the character, then have the dream, so that I realize it's a dream. Or show me in the dream that it is the omniscient voice of the character that's seeing this from a third person perspective. Right. Make sure that I understand it's a dream, and this could work, maybe, because it's clearly like when I got here and I'm like, okay, his father's story again. That is actually a good line, because that tells me that the dude's flashing back to his father's story, or he's something about his, like, there's something interesting there. Cool.
Right.
But I need to know it's a dream up front.
Yeah. Or you
All
could
right.
have it open with the father telling him that story,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that's the thing that connects it, and then we can be unlimited at that moment.
Yeah.
It is good to know that the whole thing's not written in omniscient. And
Yes.
from a technical standpoint, I can definitely see a reason for making a decision of, well, I'm going to write this as a dream, so let me separate it by doing it as an omniscient. So I can, from a technical
I can
standpoint,
go for that. I
yeah.
can go for that. It's like I have scenes in my book that are written in present tense because of the nature of the scene,
Mm-hmm.
where I do the shift into present tense. And I can go for this omniscient being the dream. I can get behind that, absolutely. But make sure I know that. Don't start it that way and then expect me to catch up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, that
yeah.
works really well.
All right. So I think that is an interesting plot twist to end this episode on. And we will see you soon for another one.
Bye. If you are ready to take your writing to the next level and work with a group of highly motivated, dedicated writers who are all working to not only improve their writing, but improve your writing, plus you get to work with me on a weekly basis, then I'll encourage you to check out writersroom.us. This is a website that I have created that I really wish I had 30 years ago. It's everything a writer needs to become a better writer. Not only do we do weekly critique sessions, both from other members as well as me, we have daily writing sessions, I do monthly classes, Q&As, we have activities, I do all sorts of learning exercises, such as I do a quarterly writing prompt contest, and just tons and tons and tons of things. So if you're ready to get serious about your writing and you want to actually finish that novel and have a chance of it being published, then I encourage you to head on over to the Writer's Room and join me there. And as a special promotion for listeners of Releasing Your Inner Dragon, I'll go one step more. If you would like to get 50% off for 3 months, reach out to me. There's a million ways you can do that. You can do it through starvingwriterstudio.com, drakeu.com, any of my social medias such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Reach out to me, say that you would like to check out the Writer's Room for 50% off, and I will send you a link that will allow you to do just that. So hopefully you're ready to start getting serious about writing, and I'll see you in the Writer's Room.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Marie Mullaney, your co-host on this literary adventure. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and discussions on writing. If you believe in our mission, please like and subscribe our podcast. Sharing our episodes with your community not only helps us grow, but also contributes to a richer, more diverse conversation about storytelling. We appreciate your support. For a deeper understanding of the topics we've discussed, head over to Just in Time Worlds on YouTube. It is a treasure trove where fantasy meets history and science. Every Tuesday, you'll find new videos that delve into the intricacies of world building, drawing from our rich real-world history. Whether you're a writer, a role player, or just a fantasy enthusiast, Just in Time Worlds offers unique insights that will enrich your perspective. Check it out and join the journey of crafting incredible worlds.